Your four favorites are Psycho, Fargo, Moonlight, and Manchester by the Sea. First up, I want to recommend Waves. Like Psycho, the story has a dramatic shift in perspective halfway through. Like Fargo, it explores the ripple effects that one horrible decision can have. Like Moonlight, it's a coming-of-age film about a black family in Florida, and both films use bold, saturated colors for both aesthetic and thematic purposes. And like Manchester by the Sea, Lucas Hedges is in it, and it's about the aftermath of tragedy as well as processing loss, grief, and regret. Exotica is about obsession and voyeurism like Psycho, but it's also about grief and depression like Manchester by the Sea. Like Fargo, characters' lives intersect in unexpected ways, and like Moonlight, it depicts lonely people longing for connection. Monster has a dramatic shift in perspective like Psycho. Like Fargo, it shows how misunderstandings among a small community can lead to events that spiral out of control. Like Moonlight, it's a queer coming-of-age story, and like Manchester by the Sea, the story is structured in a way that makes the reveal more impactful. Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri has Frances McDormand and the humor of Fargo. It's partially about a murder investigation like the latter half of Psycho. It involves a strained mother-son relationship like Moonlight, and it's about grief like Manchester by the Sea. Prisoners, like Psycho, involves mystery and suspense. Like Fargo, it's a crime film set in a small town. Like Moonlight, it explores how trauma shapes us. And like Manchester by the Sea, the characters endure feelings of loss. Everything I just said about Prisoners could also be said about Mystic River. Zodiac and Memories of Murder also came to mind for similar reasons, but those revolve more around the investigation side of things. The Sweet Hereafter also has a small town setting like Fargo and is about grief like Manchester by the Sea. And like Moonlight, it's about identity, vulnerability, and the way trauma affects us over time. Gone Baby Gone has the investigation element of Psycho and the crime aspect of Fargo, and it features the star of Manchester by the Sea while similarly exploring loss, grief, and guilt. Snow Angels has the snowy, small-town vibe of Fargo and explores the darker sides of human nature like Psycho. A lot of the characters have troubled or dysfunctional home lives like Moonlight, and like Manchester by the Sea, it delves into depression and tragedy. The combination of Psycho and Manchester by the Sea makes me want to recommend Don't Look Now because it's a horror film that seems inspired by Hitchcock, but it's also about grief like Manchester by the Sea. The combination of Fargo and Manchester by the Sea makes me want to recommend Thunder Road because it's got moments of dark humor and the protagonist is a police officer like Marge Gunderson in Fargo, and it's a film about loss and grief like Manchester by the Sea. Since you like Psycho, I think you'd enjoy Peeping Tom, which is similarly a horror film from 1960 about a mild-mannered voyeuristic serial killer who's obsessed with their parents. There's even a documentary about Peeping Tom that examines the similarities between these two films, and it's called A Very British Psycho. I want to recommend another black comedy crime film because you like Fargo, and I think you'd enjoy In Bruges. Another coming-of-age film about sexuality, identity, and masculinity that I think you'd like since you like Moonlight is Beach Rats. Pariah also reminds me of Moonlight in a lot of ways, but the protagonist in this one is a girl. Margaret is from the director of Manchester by the Sea and similarly explores themes of remorse and grief, but some other films about family and coping with grief that I think you'd appreciate since you like Manchester by the Sea are Still Walking, Rabbit Hole, and Ordinary People.